Hey, everyone. My name is Alec Manor. The reason I am making this is because I have heard talk of a safe zone floating around in my area.
By the time that I was 18, I actually was on the track of becoming a teacher. I had really no idea what I was doing. And then what happened was my track coach happened to be my guidance counselor, and he was distracted talking to me about track and accidentally threw me into a video production class. And I took it on, I really liked it, and I found this new way of telling stories that I was really interested in and kind of gravitated towards naturally. So when I first moved to LA in 2016, September 2016, I had just come off of doing my last project, which was One Drop Rule, and it was doing the festival circuit at the time. And I wanted to hit the ground running and just keep going. I kind of had made a strong decision that I had moved to LA for a reason, and I was coming out here to do what I had dreamed about doing, so I was going to jump into that as soon as possible. And so right away I got to trying to write different stories, and I wanted to keep it very simple. I knew it was going to be a lot harder to produce films out here than it was back home, so I put this really weird limit on myself to the idea that the story had to involve only 2 characters. And so I was writing like 5 or 6 stories that only had to do with 2 characters. And one of them that I had written was Through the Night, and it kind of was this genre-bending thing that I kind of was interested in trying a horror film as if it was kind of a natural disaster or more like a drama. Building the crew was interesting. It's kind of a funny story. Initially I was just looking for a director of photography to collaborate with, so I put out a posting about it. I heard back from about 8 or 9 director of photographies, but one guy that I heard from had written a 2-page long email about why he liked the character, why he loved the story, his visual ideas that he had for it. He checked out my old work and said, this is why I believe in what you're doing. I can see blah blah blah, all this stuff. And I was like, wow, that's really amazing you take the time to write all this, and half the things that he was describing in the email I didn't even understand, and that didn't scare me at all. I'm like, I really want to learn about this. So I was like, yeah, let's do this. If you're willing to work with me. His work was already really cool, so I'm like, yeah, if you're willing to work with me, let's do this. And then from there he had his own team, his own gaffer grip AC team that he had worked with, that he brought on, and those guys are all great. Even a sound guy that he had known. And then when I was casting the actors, the main actress, who's the character Maggie, who was played by Amy Stolte, when she auditioned for the part, she was amazing and blew everybody out. But what Dante, my director of photography, had not told me is that was actually his girlfriend at the time, now his fiance, that was auditioning for the part. He didn't tell her about it, he didn't tell me about it, he didn't want there to be any biases, so it was really funny that when she officially got cast, he gave me a call. I was like, hey, I gotta tell you something, you just cast my girlfriend. So that was a fun conversation to have. Things for the most part really came together. There weren't a whole lot of hardships in it. The hardest thing was that when you're creating a story that involves describing this whole other world, an apocalypse type feel, but you have these very specific details in it. The locations that you pick are extremely important. So I knew I couldn't just pick any apartment building to have this in. It needed to really, if we're going to spend all our time in here and this was going to describe the world that I'm trying to show the audience, it really had to be the perfect location. It had to show off a lot about the characters, and it had to show off a lot about the world. So it was a lot of trying to figure out where we can do this on the budget that we had, which was near nothing. So that was probably the hardest part, but we had kind of sunk our teeth in and said, hey, we're going to spend months trying to figure this out and pick the best spot. So that's what we did. I would say my best advice to people, and this is kind of how I operate, is that I know a lot of people are going to want you to put out as much content as possible. And in some ways I agree with that, but when trying to get your name out there and build up your social medias and all that stuff. But the problem is that everybody's doing that, and so my best advice to you would be to put a lot of time into one thing and making that one thing as good as possible, because every time that you do that, the next project's going to be better, and it's going to be better, and it's going to be better, and people are going to see that your products are getting better and better, and they're going to know that anytime you put out something, it's going to be something that they should stop and watch. And when you do that, you know, there are things that you can always post because you always have behind the scenes. You'll always have,
Listen to your local
you know, set photos and location scouting. So there's always things that you can be posting to showing people that you're serious about what you're doing, and it doesn't have to be a finished product every time. And I don't know, that would be my best advice to up and coming filmmakers.
Is this thing on?